question for you, Randall. I was in the military, had a military TSP, got out of the military, obviously can't do anything, can't add any more money to that. So now down the road, I am fortunate enough to become a civil service employee again. Can I, is it the same TSP account that I start up, or are they two separate TSP accounts?
You actually have two separate accounts. In your case, you have a uniform services account if you started contributing. Now that started back in 2002, folks could start contributing. So you could have a uniform services account. If you have a civilian job and you work for the federal civilian side, you would also have a civilian portion of your account. It's all in the same boat. It's all in the same bucket, but it's separated in our system. You have uniform services money and you have civilian money. Now, if you separate from one or the other, fully separate, you have the option to combine one with the other, if you so choose. You don't have to do that. There's pros and cons for that. You know, that's just a personal decision. Some people just like to consolidate it. I will point out some pros to leaving them separated. One of them is you can kind of sort of play with each side differently as far as your aggressiveness investments. You might be want to be more aggressive on one side of the fence or the other. That's one way to look at it. You also have two separate sets of withdrawal options by keeping them separate. If you combine the two, you now limit yourself to the one set of withdrawal options. So there's some pros and cons to combining or not, but you don't have to. You certainly don't have to, and if you choose, it's a TSP 65 form from our website. And folks, let me tell you also, with the whole Roth implementation, we're revamping all of our forms and stuff, so some of these forms are being consolidated. I know you probably have seen in the past the U forms for uniform services. We're now combining some of that to make it a one form for both civilian and uniform services. You'll just check off the boxes on those. We're revamping a lot of that. So you're going to see some changes with that in the future. But right now that would be a TSP 65 form to combine the two accounts. So yeah, you could certainly do that. Now we went through these. These are the funds. I just clicked over the G fund actually. The F fund is tracking Barclays, that bond index. Now did you guys want to spend some more time on the funds themselves or Roth or anything? Any other questions that you have while we're in this area? We can get into the withdrawal questions and the withdrawal options that you have if you want to get into that. We do have some information on the table outside. I'm going to click. This is a quick slide that shows you another issue, and I said it a few minutes ago about inflation. Inflation is going to eat up part of your account over time, so you want your money to grow with you. I also often get people to come up to me at these sorts of events, the tables and so forth, and they want me to tell them what to do with their account and how aggressive to be and so forth. Well, I can't give you that kind of advice, but I can certainly encourage you to be as aggressive as you possibly can, especially if you still have long-term investment in mind. In other words, let me give you an example. I was in McAllen, Texas last year talking to Border Patrol agents. 3 gentlemen came up to me in uniform. They look like they're 12 years old, each one of them. They all told me they're 100% G fund. Their ages were 26, 26, and 32. Now, if they didn't have guns on their belts, I wanted to, I was like, you have to at least accept some levels of risk. And that's what those L funds actually do automatically for you. The L funds take all 5 of those individual funds, the G, the F, CS, and I, and they put a little of your account in each one of them. Now, obviously, the further you go out, there's the L2050, the L2040, the L2030, 2020, and the L income fund, which is right now. The further you go out, the more risky or the more aggressive those funds will be, meaning more of your money's in that CS&I, the stock indexes. As time goes on, the L funds automatically reallocate, meaning every quarter money moves out and transfers towards that G fund as you get closer to that 2050, 2040, whatever. That's called a time horizon. Private sector has time horizon funds just like those. They might be a little bit more aggressive, but these L funds are time horizon funds. And that's what they do. They automatically do the work for you by moving or reallocating each quarter your account a little bit as time goes on. If you go to our website, no, I went too far. If you go to our website, you can see there's some pie charts, and you can play around with those and see exactly the percentages for these funds and the L funds and what they'll be. And you can go, the pie, you can click on it. It's a wheel. It'll move for you. It'll show you what it's projected to be in the future. But the L funds are basically set up for those folks who know they want a little bit of risk in their account. They're just afraid to do it. Or they don't understand this stuff quite well enough. Or they just don't have the time to deal with it. They got kids and soccer practice and whatever you have and all that kind of stuff. These are what the L funds automatically do for you. They automatically reallocate the money for you. So that's what those L funds do. Now, you theoretically should utilize one of these that's closest to your time horizon 100%. Meaning if your time horizon is 2040, you're going to go 100% into the 2040. You don't have to. You could even mix and match. Say you think your time horizon is 2035. Well, you could do 50% in the 2030 and 50% in that 2040. You could do the 2040 and just decide, hey, I want a little more exposure to the C fund. Now, that's not the way these are set up theoretically to work to their optimum. But you can utilize them in those ways. You have that option. You can get in and out of these as you want to. I often tell folks like the three gentlemen I told you about, if you're still scared to get out of that G fund, leave the existing money you have in the G fund alone and just dip your foot into one of these for a little while. Start your future contributions going towards one of these L funds. But give it some time. Let it ride for about a year or two and see how that feels for you and see how, if that's too aggressive for you or not. Just to kind of play around with it.
I have a question.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
This may sound really stupid. I've had TSP ever since I've been able to.
Okay.
When it first started. I've never been one that really played around with moving it around. Okay. So then I started doing that, and then I lost like $35,000 when the stock market went down. And my financial advisor said, "Don't move anything."
Well, actually, that was good sound advice at the time.
I didn't take his advice because I'm getting older and closer to retirement.
All right.
So I was afraid.
And
I saw that loss, and that just scared me.
Exactly, and unfortunately, that's the part that hit most people back in '08 with the crash that happened in '08 and beginning of '09, is that people were riding that 4 or 5 year high we had going on there, where everything was making money for folks, and they just didn't think anything was going to crash. And unfortunately, if you were a person that was close to retirement at that time, thinking, hey, I might retire in a year or two, I might start using this money soon, it really kind of bit you there, because you lost, and now you're either forced to rethink your retirement, either when you're going to retire or how you live in retirement and so forth. So that's really a personal decision, quite honestly, as to how aggressive you are when you get to that point in your career. The closer you get to that time horizon when you think you're going to start using this money, that's when you have to start deciding how aggressive you can be within your funds. And unfortunately, that's what happened back then, because some of those folks did panic. Even younger folks, brand new employees, they panicked and got out. Well, they watched the market go down, 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 and most people do that. They can watch it for a little while. They don't totally panic at the very beginning. But then when they hear it over and over again and the market gets down here, then they panic and they I can't take it anymore. And then what do? Where's my finger right now? It's way down here. They sell low. And then they do the complete opposite, and they double hurt themselves, and they watch the market go back up, and they watch it go up, 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 and then everything's good, and all that news on the TV is real good, and everything sounds great, and my coworkers are making money. I should get back in, right? I'm going to get back in now. You got out down here, and you're getting back in over here. You sold low and bought high. The complete opposite of what you should do. And I understand that. That's the biggest problem with plans like this or investing and so on, is that whole emotional roller coaster you go on. It's very difficult to watch your account go down. But if you do, and you still have enough time, you know, you still got another 5, 10, 15 years or something like that long term to make that roller coaster ride back up. I can't tell you what to do, but you've already gotten down here. Your shares are already become worth or are less in value. That's not necessarily the best time to get out because you're locking in your losses at that point.